Welcome to the Better Bid Calling Podcast, a podcast designed with you in mind. Our goal is to make good auctioneers great and great auctioneers better through education and motivation. Join your host, champion auctioneer Joshua Houston, and his award-winning and industry-leading guests every month to learn insights and tips regarding the auction contest and the auction industry so you too can proudly say, sold! Welcome back to another episode of the Better Bid Calling Podcast. I am Joshua Houston, and this is a podcast where we take good auctioneers, make them great, great auctioneers, and make them better. And to do that, to help me do that today, I'm joined by Bobby D. Ehlert. He is a phenomenal auctioneer in his own right, but he's proven that by being the 2015 World Automobile Auctioneer Champion, as well as the master of benefit auctions, if there ever was one. It's funny, Bobby, I was looking for things on you on YouTube because that's typically where I go to find information on auctioneers, and I couldn't hardly find anything from you winning the world, but I could find a lot about benefits. So that's a great thing that you do in your company, and you can talk more about that a little bit here in a minute. But why don't you just kind of introduce yourself, where you are, what you do, and what life is like for you now?
All right. Well, Joshua, thanks so much for having me on. I love talking about auctioneering. I love talking about bid calling. I love talking about being able to use this very special skill that many of us have to help us feed our families, but then also to help us, create this lifestyle that we love. So it's great to be on here. Been a big fan. I saw your podcast come out. I'm like, all right, that's awesome. I'm glad somebody's doing that and doing it right. So congrats to you.
Appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, so my life has been a bit of a whirlwind lately, not in regards of the professional sense, but more in the personal and family sense. I just got off a huge road trip with my family. We went back to the Midwest for a couple weeks, and we were able to see some family there and kind of just tool around and see some different places that I haven't seen, and then also, take the whole family. So it was great to be able to do that. And then just this morning, I was rushing back. I was surfing this morning out here on Long Island, and it was a beautiful day in the water, and keeps me grateful for the great life that I've been able to kind of design or create with the help of auctioneering and bid calling. So it kind of really sets me up for this conversation today. So it's nice. We're in chill summer mode right now, getting ramped up to hit our benefit season that starts here the middle of August. But I'm going to enjoy every down moment I can until then.
You better believe it. It's a busy time of year for us here. Summer is kind of the summer run for a lot of auctioneers in the Southeast. And I have a different auction or auction related thing happening just about every week. And so thankful for that and really excited. So let's kind of get your backstory here. People get into the auction business in different ways. A lot of what I hear is that people have ties to the industry and they decide, hey, I'm going to keep that tie and go to auction school or whatever and become an auctioneer. But how did you get involved in the industry?
Well, in my case, it was nepotism. My stepfather was an auctioneer, or still is an auctioneer. He's been an auctioneer for as long as I've been alive. And then met him when I was about 10 years old and was like, what is this auction thing? I had no idea what it was. My mom always had wanted to be an auctioneer, so she ended up marrying an auctioneer. And then, I don't know, about 10 years later, we all ended up going to auctioneer school, Worldwide College of Auctioneering. And so my stepdad, my mom, my two brothers, and I are all auctioneers. So I came from that realm. I was going to college at Arizona State University. After knowing Gary Daler, my stepdad, and seeing the world he was in, I was like, nope, I am never going to be an auctioneer. I want to be an engineer. So I'm in engineering class at Arizona State, and I'm looking around and I'm like, you know what? These are not my people. I am not that smart in math and sciences and everything. I am way better at talking and communicating. So I switched my major to communications, but at the same time, I was very desperate to pay rent and tuition and buy beer and all those things that college students want to do. So my stepdad was like, well, hey, why don't you come down and be a ringman for me at the auto auction here in Phoenix? And I was like, well, desperate times call for desperate measures. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I got in, I worked one day. I'm like, hey, this is kind of fun. And then he's like, okay, well, we could use you tomorrow. I'm like, oh, all right, well, I'll come with. So then went and did that sale. And all right, okay, yeah. He's like, hey, they're looking for somebody full time, every, Wednesday and Thursday. Like, okay, well, I think I'll hop in. And he showed me the ropes. He showed me the way. And I was his ringman for a good 3-4 years. And then as the kind of progression goes on, just as every good ringman whose dad is an auctioneer, you get up there on the block and are able to sell reruns or kind of sell the end of the sales and whatnot. And I had had a chant that I kind of just picked up from all the auctioneers that I was around, never really had any kind of, formal training within that. But then got to, where I was, 4 years in, I actually was selling a sale with Insurance Auto Auctions before I went to auction college. But then we all went again, mom, me, my 2 brothers, we all went, spent the week there in Mason City and came back. I'm like, okay, I got this. I know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, I'm going to be an auctioneer. I remember having Shane Ratliff as one of my auction instructors. And I'm like, Shane, I want to be just like you one day. And he's like, all right, Bobby, you can do it. So kind of gave me a little pat on the butt and got me out into the world. And once I'd start, working the auctioneer blocks at the different automobile auctions in Phoenix and Albuquerque and Vegas, and whatnot, just had the opportunity to, kind of just build the experience and build the chant and different things within that. But going through there, I kind of took a step back on my chant and looked at, competing. 10 years ago today was the first time I had ever competed in the International Auctioneers Championship, which was wild. And then the kind of the distance of where I was from there to winning the World Automobile Auctioneer Championships was a huge just transformation from then to where I was in 2015. And I was very lucky to work with many different mentors. I worked with Paul Ramirez, who you just had on the show, which was a great episode. Paul Ramirez is a huge mentor of mine, a big influence, gave me a lot of great opportunities in the auction world in Arizona. Also was able to work with Ralph Wade. Really helped me to just throw the crap out of the chant and really get down to basics, which was great. But then able to work with Jeff Stokes one-on-one. The Paul Ramirez had created the Advanced Auctioneer Academy, and Jeff Stokes was one of the instructors. And I actually have it on video where Jeff was working with me and I was kind of practicing some things. And he's like, Bobby, you got to put a little dance in it. You know how Jeff kind of does a little bit. And I started doing that. And then all of a sudden it clicked and I'm like, boom, that's it. And then from there, I was like, okay, that's what I want to sound like. That's what I want to be like. And then I think that was 2013. So then they competed 2014 in the World Autos, continued competing in the IAC, different things like that. And then 2015 had a really lucky day in Las Vegas with my brother Noah on the floor as my ringman, and my stepdad Gary was there in the audience, and all the moons aligned, and I was very lucky to be crowned champion that day. So that was a big surprise for me, and it was great kind of chapter in my life to get to that point. But then there was a point, probably a year or two after that, working, I mean, like you're on the summer run right now. And, it was 4, 5, 6 sales a week, 7 sales a week, as well as benefits, working through that, through the, kind of through the year, that my time with my family was just very little. And I kind of took a step back and I was like, okay, is this the route that I want to go down? Do I want to continue to be an auto auctioneer, working as much as I can and a benefit auctioneer? And then I started looking more at benefits and fundraisers and things like that. And it developed my company, which is Call to Auction. And I started, kind of leaning more towards the benefits, gave me the warm and fuzzies. I'm like, that's the route I want to go. That's going to give me the freedom in my life to be able to take big road trips or time off, or be able to go surf when the waves are good and whatnot. So then kind of started steering down that road. And then in 2017 went full-time fundraising. And it's been a fun kind of roller coaster since then to really focus on that and to, step away from what had brought me into the industry, automobiles, but now moving into that fundraisers. It's kind of like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. And every day I get reminded of that I'm on the right path. So
yeah,
that's kind of it.
Yeah. Well, so with that though, it's 2 totally different worlds.
Absolutely.
The car auction and the benefit deal, I have not done benefit auctions to the extent that you certainly have. I've been involved in a few. I did one for Ducks Unlimited in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it was kind of one of those fancy gala kind of things, the tuxedo kind of thing. My uncle was on the board for Ducks Unlimited, and he called me and he's like, "Hey, we need an auctioneer. Can you come sell this? We've got a couple of really cool items." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." He did not tell me that it was a gala kind of thing. I wear blue jeans, a sports coat, and a cowboy hat, and everyone else is in tuxedos and prom dresses. But we had a good time, and the stuff sold, so that's fine. But I bring that up for a reason, and that is when you're in an automobile auction, which I know very little about, admittedly. I've never sold one. I don't even know that I've ever been to one, to be completely honest.
Gotta go. You gotta go.
I've seen them, online and all that stuff, but it is a fast pace, really exciting. It's almost the same vibe as a livestock auction where your buyers know what they want. When they're done, they're done. You might squeeze a couple more dollars out of them, but it's a rapid pace kind of thing. And then you go to a benefit auction with people who probably never been to an auction before.
Right.
They don't really know that. All they know about auctions is the guy talks fast. And how do you communicate the auction art to an audience that doesn't know about auctioneering? What are some tips and tricks from a benefit standpoint that somebody who's doing an auction where the audience has never been to an auction before might need to keep in mind?
Well, like you said, like auto auction being similar to livestock or, heavy equipment or different things like that. It's professional sellers to professional buyers. Like people are there, like this is their business. So they're tuned in, the auctioneer's there to motivate and to close the deals, make sales happen, make the transactions happen to educated auction buyers. And then, like you just said, at a benefit auction, a big gala, many times we're the only auction that they've ever have been to in their entire life. I mean, they'll see it on, on TV, they'll see Barrett Jackson, they'll see Miko, maybe they'll see Storage Wars or, one of the Gas Monkey shows or something like that. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're one of those guys." It's like, yeah. And it's a flip of the switch for sure. You definitely still need to keep the, keep the momentum. You need to have the clarity and the rhythm that's built within that, but it's a much more entertaining aspect because we're the auction-tainers for that entire room that's there.
I love that term. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Auction-tainer is I think that Letitia Fry, one of my mentors in Phoenix, has coined that. But yeah, the auction-tainer, because at a fundraiser, you're going to have, I don't know, 5, 10, maybe 15 items that are in that auction. And you might have 300, 400, 500 individuals in that ballroom. And out of those, 500 individuals, there's only going to be at maximum 15 actual buyers. So you really have to come up with more of a kind of an entertaining stage presence. You're more of an entertainer. You're a MC, you're a motivator, you're an inspirer, you're all of those things for the entire audience that's there. At the same time, really trying to generate as many dollars as you can for the nonprofit with those 5, 10, 15 bidders that you might actually have. Help them have a good time and spend more than they ever thought that they could, but then making sure that the entire audience is really engaged within that. And then, that generosity can be contagious.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the other side of your professional coin, which is auto auctions. Tell us a little bit, like me, I've never been to one. Let's say that I was going, and for whatever reason, just going to be a fly on the wall. What could I expect? What are some things that I might need to know about? Maybe some terminology, things that are happening behind the block. Just kind of walk us through the process and kind of taking the cookies and putting them on the bottom shelf way for us.
For sure. And I know a lot of your listeners and viewers are auctioneers. They're continually wanting to get better, or maybe they're aspiring auctioneers, or kind of like yourself that aren't in the auto auction industry, but definitely have the skills and the ability to be able to move into that. And I would say, for someone like yourself, I mean, first step, find out where the local auto auction is. Maybe it's one of the national chains, maybe it's a local auto auction, but find out when it is, where it is, whatever that day is. See if you know any of the auto auctioneers that are there. Reach out to the manager, reach out to the branch owner, whoever's in charge of operations or in charge of the auctioneers, and just say, "Hey, my name is Bobby D. I'm an auctioneer. I would love to come down and observe the sale." And more times than not, if you catch them not on a sale day, they'll pick up the phone. You can even walk in the door and chat with them. And every manager that I've talked to has been great, and they've been very welcoming. Like, "Okay, yeah, our sale's on Wednesday. Come on down. We start our sale about 9 o'clock. Maybe get here about 8:30, and you can kind of see what's going on." And then from there, that's where you can see which auctioneers are working that auto auction. And many times, I mean, the auction, your world is very, very small, that you may know someone, maybe you don't, but if not, you can go up, introduce yourself, say, hey, I'm Bobby D. I'm here to just watch. I'm here to learn. This is my first time at an auto auction or whatever it might be. I just want to watch. I'm here to learn. I want to see you work. And many times when you come in with that kind of that student mindset, or with that open, that openness to learning, that many auctioneers are going to be very, willing to help you with that. So be there, be the sponge, absorb everything that's going on. So as you're in the, in the lane, I mean, some auctions are going to have 4 lanes, some are going to have 6. I mean, in Manheim, Pennsylvania, there's 27 lanes going at once. I mean, they're 3, 5, 10,000 cars a day that they're running through there. So to be able to stand in the lane and, watch the automobile roll in, the auctioneer is going to set a price, going to make an announcement of what it is, what the condition report is, green light, red light, yellow light, what are the miles, what is the, title condition, whatnot. And then they're just going to get going. They're going to try to reach a certain reserve, which is set by the seller. But then at the same time, you're going to have all the buyers that are in the, kind of in the bidding ring, are, going to bid whatever they're going to bid, to their own market value. And then it's us as the auctioneer's job to kind of find that middle point. Sometimes you got to help the bidder, bring that bid up a little bit more to get closer to that reserve. Many times you're having a negotiation right there on the spot with the seller and say, hey, I know you wanted 5,500. I got you 49. What do you think? Should we sell it? And you're selling the seller as much as you're selling the buyer at that time. So you'll see those negotiations going on. And depending on what style of kind of the lane is, it could be a lease lane, it could be a factory lane, it could be a salvage lane, it could be just a general consignment lane. You're going to see different paces of auctioneers. In a lease lane or a factory lane, they might move 100, 120, an hour. When I was selling at insurance auto auctions, I was selling, 120 an hour. I mean, that's 2 cars a minute. We are moving, we're on fire. But then if you move to something more like a consignment auction, or even some of the classic auctions, it's more of a, 60 cars an hour, maybe at the classic car sales, maybe 35, 30 cars an hour. It's going to be a slower pace, and there's going to be a bit more, kind of negotiations, or kind of a little bit more show that's going on in that. But it all comes down to time is money. Us as auctioneers are there to put the deals together to make the automobiles sell. Because when we say sold, that's when the auction makes money. And when the auction makes money, the manager's happy. The manager's happy with you. So that's kind of your first day there. Just witness, see, learn. You're going to see great stuff from auctioneers that you like. You're like, yes, I'm definitely going to do that. But you're going to see stuff from auctioneers you're like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to do that. So It's a great learning opportunity. But going in with an open mind is a great, to just start within that. And then if you want to take it to that next step and become that professional auto auctioneer, starting in the ring is a great place. Working in the ring, my stepdad had always told me, is like, if you want to be a great auto auctioneer, you got to be a amazing ringman. And then those skills are able to kind of translate up onto the block. So that's kind of a little bit of a summary of what goes on. It's probably about 1% of actually what goes on, but once you get up on the block and understand kind of the intricacies of the sellers, the system that you're bidding with the live internet bidders and the live floor bidders, and kind of making all that magic happen, the great ones do it really, really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that what you said is exactly what other people have said in the past as far as wanting to learn. Find someone who knows more than you and be willing to start at the bottom. I mean, those are the 2 key things about learning anything, and then you just grow from there. Yep. Well, you are the 2015 World Automobile Auction Champion, and I think your knowledge has been demonstrated already so far. But, everybody wants to be a world champion, at least if you're in the competitive auctioneering game, which a lot of the people who listen to this are. The IAC is going on this week.
I'm excited tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to see how that plays out. I have so many that I'm rooting for. I don't even know. I don't have someone I want to win, but I want them all to win. I know they can't, but everybody wants to be a world champion, and that's great. What people don't realize, I think, is that there is an obligation with being a world champion, that at least for the next year, but also for a lifetime, you're a representative of that industry. You're a spokesman. You're the face of that industry. So when you won the world, what were some of the requirements that they had for you, like places to go, places to speak, things to do? I call it shaking babies and kissing hands. That's that's like what we all have to do.
Yep, for sure. Well, so after the World Automobile Auctioneer Championships, WAPA, the World Automobile Auctioneer Professionals Association, is a big partner, with this championship. And now, kind of the change of ownership from Paul C. Bear now to the NAAA, it's starting to evolve a little bit more. But in 2015, when I won, being I was a regional representative for WAPA, a regional director, just kind of out there going to the different auto auctions, meeting and greeting and inviting other professionals to join the association. But then also, I was so fortunate to be able to work at a couple different auction schools, to be able to present with some of the different kind of associations that are around the country, and talk about auto auctioneering, talk about the process of becoming an auto auctioneer, talking about the process of practicing to get to that, kind of get to that point. So standing as that representative for that year after, it was busy. It was a busy year, and then even following that, having that title is definitely a big honor for me. And you are always, no matter where you are, as a representative of the auctioneering industry, but then also especially of the auto auction industry. I do have to tell a funny story that I've learned quite a bit because of an opportunity I had a couple of years later after winning the championship. I was on a podcast just like yours, and I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth a little bit, and our fellow auto auctioneers caught wind of that, and boy, I got raked over the coals really, really, really hard for that. And I was at a very unique time in my life. I was mid-divorce. I was just how you would say, we're going to go a different direction with one of my auctions. So it was a little bit of scorn that was in there. But after making that mistake and seeing how like wide of an audience that, especially now with the internet, is out there, that you've always got to be on your game. You've always got to be positive. You always got to be looking forward and pushing forward the industry. So from that instance, I've learned so much and have taken that championship that I've been able to win and really put that in high honor. But now be able to take that and move it into that kind of next chapter and beyond in my auctioneer career. So once a champion, always a champion, and you definitely got to stand out there. And even if you win the title or don't win the title, I mean, we're all representatives of this, and I love this business.
Yeah, I think that's so true of any contest that you win, that you're a representative of that. And even like you said, even if you don't win, you were there. You need to use that as an opportunity to promote the industry, to promote your this is my big deal about state contest. Because not everyone's going to compete in the IAC or the World Automobile Championship or the WLAC or whatever, but a lot of auctioneers will compete in state contests.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them will win state contests and then not do anything after that.
Right.
You need to be involved in your state association if you have one. And even if you go out of state to an open contest, you're that representative for the next year. So love what you do what you love, and let other people know it. That's kind of my general mentality about it. And I hope other people have that as well.
Yeah, it's one thing, just it's disheartening to see champions that come out, even World Auto Champions or IACs or state champions, they win and they're like, yeah, this is great, and then all of a sudden now just like disappear.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. No, you're the best. You can tell the world that you are the best, but now you get to share that with others and inspire others and motivate others to be better and to get out there. So it kind of definitely deflates the balloon when someone doesn't take that opportunity and run with it. But there's been some that have been out there that have done it and have done some great things. And it's fun to see those champions win and do some things like that.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of things that have been put out there for others to see, man, you did a commercial with Ryan Reynolds. And that was, I saw the commercial. I had no idea, because you had on the hat and everything. I had no idea it was you until I saw it on your Facebook page and put two and two together. There have been a few auctioneers, particularly champions. Blaine Lotz did one with a battery company. I don't remember which battery company. Paul Ramirez did one with Sofia Vergara years ago. And now here you are doing a commercial for Mint Mobile. Tell us about that process. How did you even get involved in that?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, you can't forget Joseph Mass with the Geico commercial too.
That's
That was,
right. I forgot about
yep,
that. You're absolutely right.
yep,
Yep. Well,
yep. That
there's
was,
four right there. That's
yeah. And it really came to me as a surprise. I was traveling this spring. I kind of spent time between New York and Phoenix, Arizona. My sons live in Phoenix, so I still have a bunch of business back there. So I was flying back and forth. And then I was in Phoenix. I get an email. Hey, we're looking for an auctioneer in New York in 3 days to, do a commercial. I'm like, okay. So then I got a call, I get a text message at the same, I'm like, they're like, hey, we need an auctioneer in 3 days in Brooklyn to film a commercial. I'm like, okay, tell me more. And they're like, oh yeah, it's with Ryan Reynolds. It's for Mint Mobile. I'm like, wait, stop. A what? Ryan Reynolds? My kids are huge Marvel fans. I'm like, I'm in, whatever it takes, whatever I need to do. So this casting company in Hollywood was working with the producers to find a rapid fire auctioneer that happened to live in New York or kind of around New York City to be able to film this particular commercial. They were shooting I think 8 or 10 different commercials with Ryan that day, and they had a soundstage set up, and I pretty much sent them a kind of a little clip of me reading the lines that they wanted me to read. And I just shot it on my phone, sent it over, didn't hear anything for days. And then all of a sudden the night before, they're like, okay, we need you in Brooklyn at 8:15 in the morning for your COVID test. I'm like, oh, I guess I got the job. so I got up, I had flown back the night before, got home, took the train into the city, found my way to the Brooklyn studio, and there I was. And then pretty much went right from, doing the COVID test to like, okay, you're clear, you can work today, filled out some paperwork, and they're like, all right, you're going to wardrobe. I'm like, all right, well, what are we going to look like? And of course, it was the cowboy outfit. I'm like, come on, please, auctioneers are more than just cowboys, please. But I had to play along, and I'm like, okay, at least, what they picked to, look good on me. So,
right.
yeah. So, went through wardrobe and then went up, and I got to spend, I think it was like, 18, 25 minutes on set working with Ryan and just kind of going back and forth with some different lines, talking about Mint Mobile, premium wireless, doing the auction chant, different things like that, and kind of working back and forth with him. It was neat to just kind of, it was full impromptu the whole time. So, yeah, he's a funny dude.
Yeah. Well, what I thought was really impressive about the commercial is you're not an auctioneer, you're a reverse auctioneer, and you have to count backwards or sell backwards.
Yep.
That we often think about going forward in our number brackets, but that was a really interesting idea for a commercial. I got to give the creators or whoever was involved in that a lot of credit. Well, let me ask you the question that everybody wants to know. Did you get to meet Ryan, and how was he? How did y'all get to see each other and actually film the scenes together and all that?
Yeah. I mean, he was like 6 feet away from me as far as it was in the commercial, and rolled in. It was in my costume. Came up. Hey Ryan, what's up? I'm a big fan. You're making me the coolest dad ever right now. And he's like, cool. So we did a little fist bump. We kind of, went back and forth a little bit, and kind of in between takes, we chatted just a little bit. And then I had asked him, I'm like, so Ryan, have you ever been to an auction before? And he's like, no. I was like, so I'm your first auctioneer? He's like, yeah. I was like, you know what they say, Ryan, you never forget your first. And he started laughing, and, and we're going back and forth a couple more takes. And one of my favorite takes is, I'm doing all right, 30, 35 out of it. Now 25, 50, $15 a month for Mint Mobile premium wireless. And then I'm like, sold to you, Ryan Reynolds. And he looks at me and he's like, what the bleep did you just say? Total Ryan Reynolds fashion. I was like, oh dude, that was epic. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, it was quick. It was over before I knew it. And then they're like, all right, hey, we got the lines, hang out for a little bit. Maybe we'll do a little reshoot, and then did a little reshoot at the end. Ryan was already gone for the day by that time. And then kind of went out into the world. I had no idea that they were going to do anything with it. I was like, did I make the cut? Did I not make the cut? I don't know. But I was on this big cross-country road trip that I had just done with my two sons. And I was in the hills of Vermont, and my auctioneer buddy in Chicago, Dan Campbell, texted me. He's like, is that you on the Mint Mobile commercial? I'm like, maybe. Was it good? And he's like, no, it was great. Here you go. He sent me the link. And then I'm like in the hills and I couldn't see it because the service was so bad.
Right.
So then finally I got out of it. I got to watch it. I sent it to my wife, and then it, kind of went viral after that. But it's been neat to have so many people reach out and be like, hey, Bobby D, I think I just saw you when I'm at mobile commercial, or somebody heard it on the radio, or somebody saw it, in between one of their Hulu shows, or, on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or something. I was like, yep, that was me.
Yeah. Well, that's a really cool opportunity. And, it's more than just you having the experience of being involved in a cool commercial. It gets auctioneers in front of people. And I mean, and a lot of people probably don't think about this, but one question that comes up a lot in contest interviews for auctioneers is, how do we get people to think that auctions are not a last resort thing? Because typically in the past, if you can't sell it for what you want, you give it to an auctioneer and they get a third of what you might could have got somewhere else. At least that's the public perception of an auction.
Right.
But what you've done with this, whether you realize it or not, is you're getting auctioneers in front of people, and people who've never seen one before are like, hey, that's pretty cool. Let's check into this.
Yeah.
Well, one thing about you, Bobby, that I love so much and have loved ever since we met, and I guess it's the first time we've met face to face, but on Facebook and so forth, is you are such a high energy person, and that's really important for doing benefit auctions for sure. Because like you said, you got to be the auction tainer and give the energy to those people. Well, I want to ask how you keep your energy. What is it? Did you just come by it naturally, or are there some tips and tricks that you have to stay so energetic?
Well, it comes down to really, like just embracing, who you are and being the best you can be. I took a class, God, it had to be 5 or 6 years ago, with Tim Luke with the NAA. It was interpersonal communications for auctioneer professionals, and I took that course. And Tim's amazing, and he's like, Bobby, you're enough. You've got it all. He's like, you just got to let it shine. And once I understood that, and I really accepted that, and I really embraced that, then I was able to really open up and really step into that next level as a fundraiser, and even as an auto auctioneer. It's really embracing that moment that we're in, and really giving it your all, because life's short. We don't know when we're going to be on that block next, or when we're going to be behind that microphone next, and it's really letting it pour out. But it comes before that, which is with that preparation. It's that practice. It's that focus on being the best that you can be. It's surrounding yourself with positive people, but really putting a good, focus on what that performance is going to be. And then just keeping your mind, your body, your soul in as tip-top a condition as possible to when it's time to turn it on. You turn it on and you let it rip. And then that energy and that excitement, that kind of that movement, that electricity is able to then radiate outside of us and affect the audience and the bidders. And when people are having a good time at an auction, they're thinking about the good time and the energy and kind of that interaction that they're having. They're not thinking about how much money they're spending or how much the money they're giving. There's that the difference between a good auctioneer and a great auctioneer is someone to be able to take that maybe and then turn it into a yes, or helping that buyer who maybe had that budget of, maybe it was 25,000, to be able to bid up to 27,500 or 30,000, because it was, we're there to build that energy. We're there to build that competition. We're there to build that kind of that back and forth, and taking that kind of that mind off of, okay, this isn't just about money. It's about much more than that. And when people, do that, auctioneers do that effectively, then that's where, records are broken. That's where, especially, livestock, or even, commercial sales like auto auctions and different things, that auctioneer is able to command a higher price, and then higher price makes the sellers happy. Sellers happy, they come back, they bring more. Buyers happy, everybody happy. We all make more money. We all get more jobs. That's right. What it's all about. So it's being prepped, being ready to go, because when that moment strikes and that microphone's in your hand, you got to lay it all out there.
Right. You have been involved in several different kinds of contests. Of course, we've already talked about a few of them. Yeah. Before we move into our rapid fire question portion of the episode, which is part of my favorite of all of them, because I ask everybody the same questions, but I get different answers. I want you to, if you wouldn't mind, talk about contest, the value of contest, how maybe you went about preparing for contest, and what somebody who might be thinking about competing for the first time should be thinking about.
Well, I really owe a lot of my success, especially in the auctioneer world, to contests. But even outside of the auctioneer world, just being a professional, contests are really going to help you enhance those skills. Contests are very uncomfortable. They're really scary. And they put us in a situation that we're really not used to ever before. I mean, it's really high pressure. I mean, whether you're in the IAC or the WAAC or the WAAC or even your state contest, or even maybe it's a local fund, auction, whatever it is, it's going to be a lot of pressure. But what's going to happen is it's going to prepare you for those other opportunities where you're standing next to a movie star and you're performing, or you're standing on stage and you're selling an item for millions of dollars, or you're at an auto auction and you're selling, 50, 80, 75 cars an hour, and you're getting that money. But it's being in that uncomfortable place that's going to stretch us, that's going to, kind of stretch those muscles, the mind, the heart, the chant, and being able to present yourself as polished as possible. And it gives us really a good date stamp of where we are as a performer and as a professional of where we are. Tomorrow, the IAC, I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to win, but I'm also looking forward to see who doesn't win, because then there's those that are going to get a little bit more hungry. They're going to find opportunities in which they can continue to improve. There's one particular champion, or soon to be champion, that I'm pulling for, David Whitaker. I know he was a guest of yours, really good friend of mine. And him and I have been,
mine too.
Yeah, we've been through the ranks many years throughout. And he's such a scientist when it comes down to it. He's like,
Yes.
how do I get better? How do I keep, making myself a better auctioneer and a better performer within that? So it's taking all those opportunities at a contest, looking at those scores, looking at, what the judges are saying. It's like, okay, let's keep getting better. But then also looking at yourself, it's like, what type of auctioneer do I want to be? And then that time on that stage is that chance to really go out and shine. I work with a lot of different auctioneers that are out there and kind of help coach them prepare for the auctions, or the auction contests, or I help them even, build business, beyond whatever. But it's, I would say it's from stairs to stairs. That space right there is going to change your life.
Right.
It's either going to change your life, for the good. I mean, you're going to be better by the time you hit that other set of stairs. Or I've seen it happen where it's broke people, where they're like, I'm not going to, this is not for me, whatnot. And that's okay too. If this isn't your thing, it's okay. You've got something else out there for you. But if it's your thing, you're going to be better from stairs to stairs. And by the time you step down and that it was the fastest 3 items you've ever had in your life, and you look back and you're like, I gave it my best. That's the feeling you want to have. And that's the feeling you want to create. And if on that day that the judges really liked what you did and thought you were the best at it, they're going to hand you the trophy. They'll hand you the check. That's great. But it's even better when you don't win, because then you're like, okay, how do I keep getting better? Is it my stage, presence? Is it my chant? Is it my clarity? Is it my rhythm? Is it my numbers? Is it my salesmanship? Is it my personality? Is it just being on stage and being comfortable? Is it me being able to smile and auctioneer at the same time? So that would be my one tip for everybody that's competing. Practice your auctioneering, chant, and smile at the same time. Because if you can make these muscles strong, you can make it happen.
Right. And, to your point, even when you don't win, you still have opportunity to get better, and you need to do that. But even when you do win, you might be the best that day,
right?
But you still have to get better, and you still have things to improve on, and you might win with without perfect 10s across the scorecard.
Yeah.
You might win with 9s, depending on who the competition is. There's always something to improve on, and contests are a great way to do that.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby, let's do some rapid fire questions here. This is going to be fun.
Let's go.
All right. First one. What's the weirdest item that you have sold at auction?
A vasectomy.
Oh, wow. All right. Number 2. What's your favorite item that you've sold that you like to talk about, that, if people find out that they're like, oh, you're an auctioneer, what is the story that you tell them about what you've sold?
There's 2. I was able to sell a Ferrari at the Lake Classic Auto Auction for $2.2 million. That was awesome. That was great. I'd never sold anything in the millions before, but 2.2. I mean, that was great. On the fundraising side, I was at a Christmas tree auction one time for the Arizona Burn Center, and they had these beautiful Christmas trees, and it was the final Christmas tree. It was a 15-footer, completely designed by just a fashion decorator and all this kinds of things. And I had these 2 bidders that were going back and forth with each other, and they were, it was going 10,000, 15, 20, 25, 30, 30. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100,000. I had a bidder up to 100,000. And I had my favorite ringman in the entire world, Chris Mooney, was out there. He's running around. He's next to the bidder, or the backup bidder. And he goes to the backup bidder and is talking to him. And, you have that connection between the ringman and the auctioneer. And he's like, Bobby, he's like, dude, I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, Bobby, this guy wants to give 100,000, but he said, F that guy and give him the tree if he gives 100. So we ended up raising 200,000 in like a heartbeat, but it was that auction energy that brought it up to there. And it was also a measuring contest to see who's bigger, I mean, whose wallet was bigger on that day. So
yeah,
yeah, that was a good time.
That's awesome. Well, every auction chant is composed of numbers and filler words. What is your go-to filler word?
Oh my gosh. It's I would say that is the best filler word that I've got. I got that directly from Ralph Wade, 1 now, 2 now, 3 now, 4 now, 5 now, 6 now, 7 now, 8 now, 9 now, 10. And then I use a lot of, would you give, can you give, gonna give 1, gonna give 2, gonna give 3, would you give 4, would you 5, would you 5, would you 6 and 7, 7, 7, 7, 8, 8, 8, 8. So now, bid, would you give, anything like that. I would say if you're practicing and trying to find your filler words, keep it simple. Now, bid, and like, that's it.
Yep, absolutely. Keep it simple. That's a good rule. I think we are better when we listen to other auctioneers. So who's an auctioneer that you like to listen to?
Oh my gosh, there's so many that are out there. Paul Ramirez back in his day, top notch.
Sure.
Love listening to Shane. Jeff's always been great. But David Whitaker, Nick Bennett is one of my greats. Jarek Miller, the past IAC, has always been a big, just the big, kind of just awesome auctioneer that I've been watching for a while. I mean, the whole Miller family too, with that. But there's some other great auctioneers that are out there that don't even compete that are great as well. Scott Robertson down in Florida is an awesome fundraising auctioneer with a great chant. My wife, Erin Ward, she blows me away all the time when we're on an auction stage, and I'm just like, oh my God, where'd that come from? But yeah, it's great to see when auctioneers are able to embody that best chant and able to just bring that performance out, whether they're the best bid callers in the world or even just the best auction performers in the world.
Yeah. Well, we call this the Better Bid Calling Podcast because it's intended for young novice auctioneers. And I say young, I guess you could be older and novice, but novice auctioneers to kind of learn more, like just graduated auction school, trying to get their feet wet. And so one thing I like to ask all my guests is, what is one piece of advice you would give that kind of person trying to make it in the industry, just graduated auction school, still kind of the fresh hatch chick trying to find its legs kind of thing?
Right. They got this new shiny toy and they're like, what do I do with this?
Right. Yeah.
Well, my best advice is find a mentor. I've been so fortunate to have so many great mentors in my life. My stepdad, Gary Daler, my mom, Colleen, helping me to push that in there. But then also just the auctioneers that I've been able to meet along the way, fellow IEC contestants and WAAC contestants, working with them and seeing them, online kind of celebrity auctioneers, Junior Staggs, seeing all the great stuff that he's putting out there, David Whitaker, things like that. But then also local auctioneers that you're able to just really connect with and kind of navigate that auction business kind of path, but then also looking at someone that has that professionalism, someone that you can really look up to, even if they're, in your community or even if they're across the country, just reaching out and be like, hey, I want to get better. I want to learn. Can you help me? What are some tips? What are some tricks? I'm more than happy to give an hour to anyone and help to, help them improve their chant and whatnot. And I know there's lots of other auctioneers that are out there. So that would be my one tip is find that mentor, have someone that can be really brutally honest with you and to be like, yeah, no, that's not working. Let's try it this way, or throw that crap away. Let's focus on the numbers. Let's focus on the simple bits. And then another piece of that would also be to find a singing coach. For someone that's looking to really be the best auctioneer that they can be, finding a singing coach to identify and know where your range is, know how high is too high and then how low is too low. But then also the breathing aspect is a big component of that. And I love coaching auctioneers on how to actually breathe right. And when I'm judging auction contests, I'm always looking at their breathing, and the auctioneers that are like, I'm like, yep, nope, you're doing it wrong. You're totally doing it wrong. But the ones you can't hear breathe are the ones that are absolutely amazing. They're the ones that are going to win.
Yeah. When I have the opportunity to teach bid calling, or at least we'll call it teach the auction chant development, I hate calling it an auction chant. I hate that word. I like to call it the auction song, because chant makes it sound like you're standing out with a picket sign, hollering. Well, a song is rhythmic, and a song is pleasing, and a song isn't breathy. And so that's what I like to call it. But those are all great pieces of advice. All right. One last thing before we go is I would love, if you wouldn't mind, for you to sell something. If you would just give us, just pick your flavor and take off.
All right. Well, since we're here in the beautiful Long Island, New York, I've got a 7-day stay out in Montauk. It's the end of the world, beautiful surf town, a beautiful place to spend an entire week on the sand, in the surf, in the sun, right out there in Montauk. All right, let's go. Everybody give $1,000. Everybody get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Everybody get 3,000. Let's go, Joshua. Your turn. And I'm going to get $3,000. I'm going to get 3, 4. And I'm going to get just $4,000. Only money. And I'm going to get 4, 5. I'm going to get 5. I know you want it. 5,000. I can tell you need a vacation. 5, 6,000. And I'm gonna get 6 and 7, 7, 8, 9 and 9. Just go $10,000. And I'm gonna get 10, 10, 10. I'm gonna get 10. You want it. I can see it in your eyes. And I'm gonna give 10, 10. Yes, he did. 10, 10, 12, 12, 15, 20, 20, 20. I'm gonna get 20,000. And I'm gonna get 20,000, 20, 20. I'm gonna get 20, 25, 5, 5 a bit once and 5. I'm gonna get y'all know my favorite 4-letter word, right? SOLD. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Sold. You got it for $20,000.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, Bobby, thank you so much for being willing to be on with us today. Guys, find Bobby on YouTube, find him on Facebook or wherever. Find him on Mint Mobile's commercial. I'm sure they would love that. Bobby is a great resource, and I know that he just has a wealth of knowledge, more than we can get into in an hour. But Bobby, greatly appreciate you being willing to be on. Guys, be looking for more episodes. We do one a month. And next month, Lord willing, I'm trying to remember who I have. Blake McDaniels is going to be on. And so we're going to have a great time with him. We got a great lineup coming. So I hope that you guys continue to like and share, get this out, because we want everybody to benefit from it who possibly can. So with that, guys, we will end this and see you in the next one. You've been listening to the Better Bid Calling podcast. If you would like to sponsor an episode, please contact us at betterbidcalling@gmail.com.